are sending a message to the people across this country to come to D.C. and build the power of the people to drive out this regime. And then at the end, I want you to know one of the most beautiful things about this movement, besides our diversity, besides the clarity and the truth we tell, besides the willingness to sacrifice and disrupt our lives because something bigger is going on,
in the ranks of the resistance or the revolution. So when I come out here and see people in their 70s and 80s, I am inspired. However,
that's now apparently what MAGA means, according to Trump. And, you know, look, I hate to say it, but I told you so. This is why I jumped off the Trump train last year. And I will say it every single day. I don't care if you're sick of hearing it. I told you so. And I had people last year, friends of mine, tell me, you're being disloyal to Trump. No, you've got it wrong. Trump has been disloyal to us. What more do we owe this person? Seriously. How many of you got fired from your jobs, expelled from your school? How many of you got hit in the face, lost friends because you supported Trump? How many of you went to jail in the Capitol, lost a social media account? How much acrimony, how many problems has the Trump movement created in your life because you supported him?
Today I want us to talk about how white Americans feel betrayed by their own savior. When I say it's their own savior, I mean Mr. Donald J. Trump. So white America is not just upset. Instead, they are in tears and they are so much furious and feeling betrayed. Why? Because the promise they believe in, that Trump will be their defender, is collapsing right before their eyes. And some say that this guy turned on us when we needed him the most. And they have a long list of grievances like dying crops, deported farm workers, no more safety nets, soaring costs, and the loss of privileges they once had before are not there. So they feel that this person is not doing as per what we thought that he's going to do. So they feel so much betrayed. Guys, I want us to watch some clips here on how Americans have reacted. Let's dive straight. Watch these clips, then come back and have a talk. And of course, if you're watching us for the first time and you are happy to meet this African, please subscribe, like, and share. And let's dive straight, then come back and have a talk as far as this topic is concerned.
That's now apparently what MAGA means, according to Trump. And, you know, look, I hate to say it, but I told you so. This is why I jumped off the Trump train last year. And I will say it every single day. I don't care if you're sick of hearing it. I told you so. And I had people last year, friends of mine, tell me, you're being disloyal to Trump. No, you've got it wrong. Trump has been disloyal to us. What more do we owe this person? Seriously. How many of you got fired from your jobs, expelled from your school? How many of you got hit in the face, lost friends because you supported Trump? How many of you went to jail in the Capitol, lost a social media account? How much acrimony, how many problems has the Trump movement created in your life because you supported him? And how have we been repaid? Well, let's see. When BLM torched every city, Donald Trump let it happen because he thought it would be better for him in the election. Donald Trump was the father of the vaccine and the COVID lockdown. He didn't build the wall. As a matter of fact, he didn't even get illegal immigration under control. He gave Venezuelans TPS status before millions of them came here during the Biden administration. We were disloyal to Trump? No. Trump was disloyal to us. He did not use greatagain.org to fill his administration with his voters. He filled it with Bush and Rubio alum. He filled his White House with GOP staffers who cut taxes for the corporations and moved the embassy for Israel. He gave Ukraine lethal aid. He let BLM destroy the cities. He let Pfizer invent the RNA vaccine. And you say that Trump is owed our allegiance? What more do we owe this guy? Then Trump is reelected in spite of it all. In spite of all of that cowardice and treachery, no wall, no mass deportations. We're still in Iraq. In spite of all that, he didn't even pardon his supporters that went to jail on his behalf, although he could have. In spite of all that, Trump is reelected while defending the vaccine and his legacy. And how does he repay it now? He immediately hires Sriram Krishnam, who wants to replace us with H-1Bs, John Radcliffe at CIA, Mike Waltz as the National Security Advisor. He attacks Project 2025. Then he bombs Iran. Then he cuts the corporate taxes again, buries the Epstein files. Serves you right. You trusted Trump. You can't trust Trump. He's not loyal. I had friends of mine say, "You're not loyal to Trump. We're still trusting the plan. Mr. President, I support you." And these people have watched as Elon has stopped supporting him, as Tucker has stopped supporting him, as Candace Owens has stopped supporting him. And now Marjorie Greene has stopped supporting. I guess they're all traitors. I guess they were all wrong. And what does Trump even stand for anymore? I said this earlier in the week. Trump is not the be-all, end-all. We supported Trump because of what he represented. We didn't vote for Trump because he was an obnoxious boomer. We voted for Trump because he was going to put America first. He was going to end mass migration, end the foreign wars, end free trade. He was going to end the globalist corruption in the government. Now none of that is happening. We do not have a tariff schedule. There are more wars now than there were at the start of all this. He's in favor of, they want to bring in more legal immigrants than ever. They want to keep the illegals here. They haven't even started on the wall. And now MAGA is about covering up for Epstein and doing Israel's bidding. No, Trump betrayed us. And that's, in some sense, it's not okay that he did it, but we will be okay. Because, and I've said this, when I'm down on Trump, there's no reason to be blackpilled because Trump was never the end condition. If you think he is, maybe you can construe that as blackpilling. I have always believed that Trump is the stepping stone to the next movement. He was a necessary bridge, a battering ram. He was an icebreaker, no pun intended. That was the point. There was a period of tightness. Everything was controlled and everybody was politically correct. And Trump broke down the door. And if he only did that, then that was a victory by itself. But as it has dragged on, it is transformed from we don't have high expectations to now it is a liability. That's why I said it's maybe perhaps better if Trump just sunsets because there's nothing new and dynamic. And as a matter of fact, he's betrayed his core principles. It doesn't mean that it was a mistake. It doesn't mean that Trump wasn't worth supporting at one time. It doesn't mean that Trump wasn't good on net. I think he was at a certain time.
Holy crap. This is getting good. This MAGA civil war, it's on. And it's getting ugly out there. I've got a couple of clips that I've got to play for you of Marjorie Taylor Greene ripping into Donald Trump, calling him a traitor. You know, just the other day, Trump called her a traitor. Well, she gave it right back to him and called him a traitor. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene, what this transformation is about, what exactly this transformation is, but I'm starting to think it's genuine, at least with respect to turning on Trump. I think this is a woman who feels betrayed. She's angry. And unlike most of the men in Congress, she's not a coward, apparently, and she's not taking this shit. She's standing up to this bully, and she's giving it right back to him. And man, I'm friggin' loving it. So I've got 2 clips that I want to play for you, and we're going to discuss. So watch this first one.
I only take people's actions seriously, no longer words.
And what do you think of President's actions?
And I'll tell you, because I wasn't a Johnny-come-lately to the MAGA train. I was day one 2015, and there's a big difference in those Americans and those that decided to support President Trump later on. And I'll tell you right now, this has been one of the most destructive things to MAGA, is watching the man that we supported early on, 3 elections, for people that stood hours, slept in their cars to go to rallies, have fought for truth and transparency, and to hold what we consider a corrupt government accountable. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart. And the only thing that will speak to the powerful, courageous women behind me is when action is actually taken to release these files, and the American people won't tolerate.
It's over. The Trump presidency, as we have known it, is over. Donald Trump's reign of terror in Congress is over. It is fitting today that Donald Trump was sitting beside a murderous dictator in the Oval Office when his dictatorship ended in the House of Representatives and then in the United States Senate. No president has had more dictatorial power over his political party in the House of Representatives and in the Senate than Donald Trump has had. And now that is over. Because an obscure Republican member of the House, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, decided to stand up to Donald Trump this year, and he is still standing tonight after Donald Trump has spent the year trying to destroy him. And now what every Republican has seen is that Thomas Massie has not just stood up to Donald Trump, he has beaten him. Thomas Massie was just another powerless member of the House of Representatives when the year began, and now he has done what other Republicans tried to do in 2016 when Donald Trump ran for president and failed. Thomas Massie has beaten Donald Trump. Thomas Massie has humiliated Donald Trump. In 2016, when Republicans were running against Donald Trump for the presidential nomination, they showed not only that they wanted to beat him, but that they hated him.
Donald Trump is a con artist. The party of Lincoln and Reagan and the presidency of the United States will never be held by a con artist.
You know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell.
This man is a pathological liar. He doesn't know the difference between truth and lies. The man is utterly amoral. Let me finish this, please. The man is utterly amoral. Morality does not exist for him.
Each one of those cowardly Republicans eventually sold their souls to Donald Trump, and now they publicly worship him. And tonight they can look at Thomas Massie and see the man who they wish they could be, the Republican who beat Donald Trump and humiliated Donald Trump. Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, an enthusiastic Trump supporter, broke ranks and joined Thomas Massie's crusade to release the Epstein files. And Donald Trump tried to destroy her and is still trying to destroy her, as he is still trying to destroy Thomas Massie. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is still standing today. And today, Marjorie Taylor Greene beat Donald Trump. And every Republican in the House and the Senate watched Marjorie Taylor Greene beat Donald Trump and humiliate him today, crush him.
I'm so sick and tired of Democratic politicians telling me what I should care about. Here's the deal. Donald Trump has wrecked the American economy, and the AI stock bubble is about to implode. Everywhere there is misery. Things are falling apart. The White House has been demolished, and though that too was called a distraction, as it turns out, when you're able to look at the polling a month on, it began the Trump cratering. A lot of us, maybe because we're decent, do care if the President of the United States is a pedophile. And I absolutely do care about the victims. I care about the evil. I care about the insanity. I want it to stop. And you should want it to stop. And together, as Americans, we can demand that it stops.
You know, they voted for Trump and now they're in tears. I'm talking about farmers and cattle ranchers. Now, I'm not naive. I know that not every single farmer and every single rancher voted for Trump, but a lot of them did. And they voted for Trump, presumably, despite knowing what he did to them in his first term. They needed to be bailed out during Trump's first term. And they mostly voted for him anyway. Now it's happening again. Now, that being said, I still feel bad for them. I think there's a question as to whether, you fool me once, shame on you. You fool me twice, shame on me. Do they deserve to get bailed out again after this predictable situation? But here's a 60 Minutes report. The farmers are understandably upset.
Nearly 80% of voters in what are called farming-dependent counties voted for President Trump in the last election.
I feel like a lot of American farmers, cattle people, it's a lot of people probably feel let down currently. Now, maybe there's a method to the madness. That's still to be seen.
Many are now taking their frustrations directly to Republican lawmakers at town halls across the country.
I'm about ready to lose my farm. I am pissed, and I'm pissed at you.
Nearly 80%.
One more clip, and then I want to talk about this.
Do you think you can make it another year?
I don't know. Do you just keep going, rolling the dice, hoping things will turn? I mean, it's not looking good.
President Trump has promised a new bailout for American farmers, as much as $13 billion that he said would be paid for by the tariffs.
We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, we're going to give it to our farmers, who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit.
Like most farmers we spoke to, Daniels and Carmack say they'd rather work their fields than rely on taxpayer money.
It will help pay some bills, but that's not fixing the problem. It's a Band-Aid when we need stitches.
Can you wait? Can you wait this out?
Farm families can't wait.
Listen, on the one hand, you voted for the tariff guy. The tariff guy did the tariffs. And now, all of a sudden, you're shocked that the tariff guy is tariffing you into insolvency. It's not really a betrayal because Trump's doing what he promised to do. He's hurting a lot of the people that supported him the most.
So a big rift is developing online. You may have already seen it between Donald Trump, the Trump administration, and his MAGA supporters. Believe it or not, and it all comes down to the Ingram interview from yesterday, where Donald Trump said the reason why people from abroad are coming here and they're trying to attract people from abroad over here with H visas is because there's not enough smart people in America to do the job, which is ironically completely against what he said previously. And the MAGA community, of course, is in uproar about this because the whole time it's been about America first, and now he's saying, well, you're not smart enough to do the job. So this is, this guy, you can't forecast him. He's going to say different things every day. But the MAGA community is pissed off.
All right, Trumpers, come and get me. So listen, I went to a Falcons game tonight, that's in downtown Atlanta. And what I saw on a street in particular was, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 homeless people, like legit homeless. So our president is going to send $40 billion to Gaza, $20 billion over here, $100 million over here. And we have actual homeless people that live in these streets of these cities that are just looking for a little foothold to propel themselves into something better. Sure, would some of these people take advantage? 100%. But at the end of the day, we help all these other countries, but we don't help the American people. Now, make this make sense. We're going to get rid of SNAP benefits and we're going to get rid of government programs because we have an orange man who has a little dick syndrome, but we're not going to help out the American people that are actually struggling. I mean, these people were fucking homeless. It goes to show you, one, how sorry the Trump administration is. Two, really how sorry the government is in the U.S. And three is that when you have a president that wants to lay out a plan, such as Kamala did and what Biden did, those are the people you vote for. Fuck Democrat, fuck Republican. Vote for the person that's putting out the policy. Because I know you Trump weirdos out there thinking it's all about Trump and this MAGA movement. No, have a better fucking heart, because clearly you don't have one if you voted for him.
How is Trump oppressing me personally? I'm an openly queer woman with a trans partner. And under this administration, there are direct attacks on our rights, like trying to roll healthcare protections back for trans people, allowing federal contractors to discriminate on gender identity.
Wait. So you're an openly queer woman with a trans woman part. So you straight. You see how confusing a lot of this stuff is? It's like a lot of times we don't even know. It's like y'all both reverse of the reverse to then make y'all the reverse. Honestly, bro, all of these labels, all of these different boxes that people want to check for themselves. And again, I'm not the type of person that really cares about what you do in your own bedroom as long as you're not hurting nobody and you're not doing nothing illegally. But to push this on American taxpayers and to push this as a cultural norm is where we start to draw the line. You know what I'm saying? And I don't stand for anything that is not, going in the direction of logic and making sure that our children understand strong core American values. It's just weird, bro.
Preventing trans.
Let me start this over because I'm trying to understand exactly what this means.
How is Trump oppressing me personally? I'm an openly queer woman with a trans partner.
I don't even know what that means, bro.
And under this administration, there are direct attacks on our rights, like trying to roll healthcare protections back for trans people, allowing federal contractors to discriminate on gender identity, preventing trans people from serving in the military. And if you think that doesn't affect me, let me be perfectly clear. Having rights inside my own family stripped away and having us question whether we can even leave the house and be safe because this administration weaponizes people to be brazen and bold in their discrimination against my family. Yeah, that affects me personally. It affects me deeply. And the fact you can even ask that question says a lot about you.
So I'm going to deep dive into this a little bit because I wanted to know where this question generated from. But nobody is removing any right from you. If you want to do what you want to do what you want to do, and nobody is discriminating against you. It's just flat out weird. And the worst part about this whole situation is
MAGA Republican leaders are losing all control. They've been hit with the karma they deserve. They've refused to govern. They've refused to even talk with Democrats, yet alone negotiate with Democrats. And now, as the country is being ripped to shreds by Donald Trump's disastrous policies, when they try to blame the Democrats, guess what? The American people know that it's these MAGA Republicans who are to blame for the affordability crisis, for the disastrous trade war against the world, for Donald Trump making things far more dangerous in terms of foreign policy, for the failure to release the Epstein files. So you have these MAGA Republican leaders losing control and trying to blame Democrats or blame this or that, and it ain't working. Let me show you what went down. For example, you have MAGA Republican Congresswoman Salazar. She's from Florida, and she was asked, hey, what do you make of Donald Trump yelling at female reporters and calling them piggy and saying he doesn't like their attitude and saying they should lose their job? What do you think about that, Congresswoman Salazar? Here, play this clip.
The reporter says, if there's nothing incriminating in the file, sir, why not take? And he says, quiet, piggy. What was your response to that?
Hey, you know, President Trump is a very picturesque and difficult and different type of politician. But I always say that I look at his policies and not at his personality. No one is perfect. Those who are perfect are in heaven. That's why I am saying to him, you, because you have that personality and you have that fortitude and you dare to do things that other people do not dare to do, you are the guy who needs to fix immigration for this country for the benefit of the average American worker and for the economy. If immigration is not fixed by him, it will take another 40 years for a Democrat, for a Republican to dare to do it. So that's why it's exactly, it just gave me the perfect platform to say to him, you are the guy. You dare to do things that others don't, dare to fix immigration.
Or also, Congresswoman Salazar, didn't you guarantee the American people that Donald Trump was never going to arrest and round up people who were not criminals, migrants who had no criminal record and who had been in the United States for some time? Didn't you promise us that? So what do you make of Donald Trump using his ICE agents, his Border Patrol Gestapo to invade Los Angeles and Portland and Chicago, and now terrorizing Charlotte and saying they're going to come to other cities in the United States? Like, what do you think about what went down in Charlotte, Congresswoman Salazar? Because didn't you promise that this wasn't going to happen? Here, play this clip.
Thank you for the opportunity. And talking about Charlotte, 200 people in 48 hours were arrested. 70% of them did not have a criminal record, according to DHS. That's a mistake. And that is why I just wrote this book called The Dignity, Not Citizenship. This is the name of the legislation that I just introduced. And basically what it says the ICE should be concentrating on the bad hombres. Exactly what President Trump said, that he wanted to do a math.
And so gaslighting the people and trying to tell them that prices have come down is not helping. It's actually infuriating people, because people know what they're paying at the grocery store. They know what they're paying for their kids' clothes and school supplies. They know what they're paying for their electricity bills. And so that approach does not work. We need compassion and show that we care about the American people, and show that we are in the trenches with them on what they're going through. That's first and foremost. You don't gaslight them, you don't lecture them, and you don't deny what's happening.
I tell you what, 6 months in, Steve, and here we are, turning back on the campaign promises, and we bombed Iran on behalf of Israel. Yes, it was on behalf of Israel. We're entering a nuclear war, the World War III, because the entire world is going to erupt. And you want to know the people that are cheering it on right now? Their tune is going to drastically change the minute we start seeing flag-draped coffins on the nightly news, on Fox News that brainwashes all the baby boomers, and on CNN that brainwashes all the Democrat baby boomers. And that is exactly how this is going to go down.
Now, guys, welcome back. Under Trump's hardline immigration policies, thousands of farm workers, many who were undocumented, were deported. And still they are being deported. And remember, these are the very people who picked crops, who milk the cows, who do the back-breaking work nobody else wants. This has led to the labor shortage on the farms, leaving produce unharvested and whole fields rotting. Some crops are now dying because there is just no one to pick them. And with the fewer workers, farms are under pressure. Either they mechanize or import more food, or even risk collapse. And at the same time, the cost of living is skyrocketing for everyone. Groceries, housing, healthcare, and nothing is cheap anymore in America. And for the working class, the white Americans, okay, to be specific, the burden is real on them. They feel like they traded in a promise of economic security, and they are now left with empty pockets. Trump's track record on healthcare has left many hanging. They were promised change, but they didn't get a full universal system. Instead of fixing things, many safety nets have shrunk, and healthcare cost remains high, and the fear of being uninsured is now very high and real. Parts of their anger come from a deeper anxiety. Their privileges are now being eroded. They feel that the social contract they once benefited from is unraveling, and that they are no longer automatically seen as the first class in America. And for some, it is not just economic. Rather, it is existential. You know, what does it mean to be protected or given a chance now? Many admit that they looked to Trump as their protector in crisis, and they believed he'd be there for them. But when things now get rough, with the labor crisis, rising cost of living, and the basic service under strains, they saw him pulling back. You know, there's real bitterness here. Trump didn't just build systems to help them survive. Instead, he just used them for power, to get there. And therefore, once he's there, he's now executing his own policies, not what he promised the people. People are openly grieving. Some say that I believed in him and now I feel lost. You know, he told us he'd protect our ways of life. He used us instead. And this anger is summary. Some say that we stood by him, now he's turned against us, he's turned his back. Some say that if this is what he meant by making America great again, then we are lost. Because our crops are rotting. And he promised to put America first. We are paying more and getting less. What's the deal that they were sold? He deported the very workers who fed us. Why fight for him and let us draw in our own problems? Guys, this meltdown is real. America feeling betrayed, abandoned, and also disillusioned. They believed in a promise of protection, prosperity, and priority. But now, many feel that promise has failed them. Now, the big question now is, if your leader isn't there in your darkest hours, was he ever really on your side? Or was he there to fill his own pockets? Because for many, the answer is painfully clear. He has turned away from us. And now, they are left to pick the pieces, asking if what they believed was ever real. Guys, if you love this conversation, please subscribe to this channel. Leave us a comment in the comment section. And guys, I love you so much. And please receive much love from the motherland Africa. See you again in my next video. This is a guy I played from the motherland.